Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 344 based on novel. So let's start. The 10,000-foot realm shrank into Wang Lin's body, but Wang Lin remained stunned, staring at space. After a long time, he recovered. He had a strange expression on his face, and there was a faint hint of disbelief mixed in. While pondering, his body flickered and he disappeared. He reappeared on the mountain and sat down. He was dumbfounded for a while and still found what had happened difficult to believe. After 15 minutes, Wang Lin closed his eyes and his mind went into his body. Above his origin soul floated a vortex sphere, and inside it was the rain and wind world. Although the wind and rain world only covered 10,000 feet when it was outside his body, it was boundless inside his body. At this moment, there were many continents floating inside this realm, and they were all formed by the collapsed celestial ceiling stamp. There were battle souls on these continents of many sizes. These souls didn't let out mournful cries, they only sat there. Milky white auras came from the tops of their heads and was absorbed by the realm. At the same time, these auras went straight into Wang Lin's mind toward his 5 essences. Wang Lin's 5 essences were like plants in spring as the milky white auras surrounded them, and they give off a strong sense of vitality. This is, Wang Lin was still in shock. It was because he recognized this milky white aura that the shock was even more intense. It was as if a bolt of thunder was echoing in his mind. Wang Lin wasn't unfamiliar with this aura. When the ancient demon statue in the demon spirit land was worshipped by 13 and them, this aura was also present. In the Cloud Sea, in the battle against Daoist Water, the last spell Daoist Water used also contained this aura. The conversation with the Lord of the Sealed Realm and Tao Master Blue Dream all pointed to the key in becoming a third-step cultivator, Joss Flames. Wang Lin didn't understand what Joss Flames were or how they were created. However, when he fused the wind and rain world with the celestial ceiling stamp, this scene unfolded, which just confused him more. These battle souls were all the people he had killed, but now they had become disciples that provided him with Joss Flames. This was Wang Lin's fortune, the Lord of the Sealed Realm's legacy, and an almost non-reproducible mutation. Even Tao Master Blue Dream wouldn't have thought that teaching Wang Lin the Fusion Tao spell would create such a change. The celestial ceiling stamp was formed by a fragment of the Thunder Celestial Realm. The Thunder Celestial Realm was created countless years ago by the Lord of the Sealed Realm to prevent the realm ceiling formation from absorbing the inner realm's Joss Flames so that Joss Flames could appear in the inner realm. Although the 4 celestial realms were destroyed, they were the best materials for producing Joss Flames. However, if this was it, it wouldn't be enough, but this fragment had also experienced divine retribution. It was as if heaven itself had refined this fragment into a treasure for Wang Lin. The thing that allowed Joss Flames to be born was refined once again by the divine retribution. Wang Lin had inadvertently taken this object to use for magic arsenal. Using his life and death domain, he had created 18 layers of hell that absorbed all the souls of the people he had killed so they couldn't enter the reincarnation cycle. As time went on, the power to create Joss Flames from the fragments filled these 18 layers of hell. However, without an opportunity for it to activate, this power would slowly dissipate. Wang Lin would never have found any abnormality, as these battle souls were merely surrounded with the power to create Joss Flames and didn't release any. This opportunity came when Tao Master Blue Dream fused Call the Wind and summoned the rain into a world. It was like giving root to a rootless plant. Then Wang Lin attempted to fuse Magic Arsenal and the wind and rain world. This allowed this change, this opportunity, to appear. Although there were many battle souls and the Joss Flames were very weak, far weaker than Daoist Water's 2 billion disciples, but this was real Joss Flame. The key to reaching the 3rd step and a Tao treasure that 3rd step cultivators scrambled for. Wang Lin's expression was very strange. He opened his eyes and silently pondered for a bit before throwing it to the back of his mind. After all, there was still the danger of the woman in white outside the Blue Silk clan. Even though he had inadvertently made this treasure, if it didn't help him resolve the crisis from that woman, it was useless. His eyes lit up and his right hand reached forward. A storage space crack appeared and a huge finger bone flew out. As it floated in the air, it looked like a continent. The ancient god Fingerbone was like a cultivation planet. Although this was only half of the original Fingerbone, its aura was extremely dense. Wang Lin clearly felt this aura from below it. The ancient aura inside the finger was very strong, to the point of almost becoming corporeal, but it couldn't be absorbed. There was a sliver of will inside that wouldn't allow anyone to devour it. Staring at the half of the Fingerbone, Wang Lin's ancient god stars appeared and rotated slowly. He attempted to absorb but still failed in the end. Tuor Sen used an extremely powerful spell to allow his stars to devour the finger. He can even devour third-step cultivators to strengthen his stars. However, there is a will inside this ancient god aura, so it would certainly be difficult for him to devour it. However, it doesn't mean I have no way of absorbing it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he raised his right hand and reached for his storage space once more. There was a flash of light and the soul lasher flew out with the Moon Clan white-haired old man's origin soul, arriving before Wang Lin. The white-haired old man's eyes were closed. The crescent moon mark between his eyebrows flashed dimly, resisting the soul lasher. Since the Moon Clan possessed the ancient god Fingerbone, they must have some method of using it. Wang Lin's gaze fell on the white-haired old man's origin soul. This person's cultivation level was extremely high, almost comparable to that of the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor, almost at the fourth heaven's blight. If Wang Lin had met him a long ago, he wouldn't have been his match. However, this person was obviously no match for Tuor Sen's powerful attacks and was eventually seriously injured by Tuor Senator then. When the Fingerbone was split in half, his body collapsed due to the shockwave of ancient god aura. Even his origin soul was seriously injured, which gave Wang Lin the chance to capture him. However, this old man was extremely powerful, and his origin soul had turned corporeal, like a real body. If not for the soul lasher having a fatal effect against origin souls, Wang Lin wouldn't have been able to seal him. Staring at the white-haired old man's origin soul, Wang Lin's hands formed a seal and pointed. The soul lasher immediately emitted a dark gold glow and shrank. The old man's origin soul trembled and his face revealed pain. He opened his eyes and coldly looked at Wang Lin. You're merely a 6-star ancient god. My Moon Clan has killed a lot like you. Even though you have captured this old man's origin soul, what can you do? This old man's origin soul has already turned corporeal and can't be die or be destroyed. The old man grinned and closed his eyes. He stopped paying attention to Wang Lin and tried to use his origin energy. However, thanks to the soul lasher, everything was sealed. Wang Lin didn't speak and waved his right hand. There was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword appeared. He mercilessly stabbed the old man's origin soul with the blood sword. The blood sword directly penetrated old man's origin soul, and he let out a miserable scream. He suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Wang Lin. As the old man screamed, Wang Lin raised the blood sword and cut open the old man's origin soul. Large amounts of origin soul essence was released, and Wang Lin devoured it. I can't kill you. A member of the slave clan dares to be so arrogant. Wang Lin's voice was cold, and he waved the blood sword in his hand once more, cutting the old man's origin soul. The old man screamed even more miserably and his body trembled. He stared at the blood sword in Wang Lin's hand and fear filled his eyes. This? What kind of sword is this? Wang Lin didn't answer the old man's question. His expression was indifferent as he waved the blood sword in his hand toward the old man's origin soul. The old man's screams gradually became more faint as time went on. He vaguely had a guess of Wang Lin's intentions, and he began to panic. Wang Lin wasn't going to kill him, but continue to weaken him. With the soul slasher, he couldn't even recover. He could only look on in fear as his origin soul essence leaked out. He couldn't even self-destruct. After several hours, the old man was weakened to a limit. All he origin energy in his body had leaked out and wounds covered his origin soul. The blood sword also contained a suction force that took some of his vitality every time it cut. Not only was this painful, but he was now dying. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. As he withdrew the blood sword, his right hand pressed down on the old man's origin soul. His divine sense rushed out and he began to search the old man's soul. The old man's previously weak screams became louder. His body trembled and he began to resist like crazy. However, the moment he started to resist, Wang Lin waved his right hand and the blood sword appeared again. It directly penetrated the old man's origin soul. The old man's body trembled greatly and his resistance collapsed. His eyes became dull and his body became transparent, as if he could collapse at any moment. After a long time, Wang Lin raised his right hand and his expression became extremely serious. The white-haired old man's origin soul was now completely transparent and started to slowly dissipate. However, as he dissipated, there was a flash of bloodlight as the blood sword pierced through his head and destroyed him completely. The moment he died, the white-haired old man's soul appeared on a continent inside the wind and rain realm. He sat there and gave off a shocking amount of milky white aura. The Moon Clan is extremely large. The group Tuor Sen and I destroyed was merely a branch. In the ancient star system, the Moon Clan still has 3 more branches. In the main branch, there is an ancestor of the Moon Clan. That person is a third-step cultivator. This old man had never seen the sovereign in his life. He only knew that a long time ago, the sovereign fled from the inner realm seriously injured and has been healing in a mysterious place. Combined with the words of Tao Master Blue Dream, the sovereign being injured by a roar of something in the inner realm and then escaping in panic is credible. The sovereign is in closed-door cultivation due to his injuries. I just don't know how much he has recovered. Wang Lin's eyes turned cold and he looked at the sky. It is time to leave. That woman in white must still be waiting there. The ancient god slave clan, the Moon Clan. When the Moon Clan betrayed the ancient gods, they had help from a mysterious group of people. These people's spells were extremely shocking and completely different from that of the people of the ancient star system. They were also very adept at using seals. Only thanks to their help did the Moon Clan gain the confidence and will to betray the ancient god. However, even today, the Moon Clan hadn't been able to guess the identity of that mysterious group of cultivators. Not even the Moon Clan's third-step ancestor knew much. The rumor was that the mysterious cultivators that suddenly appeared seemed to have made deals with many of the clans but didn't have much relation with the ancient imperial concubines. These people had given the Moon Clan a strange spell that allowed them to absorb the power of the ancient god. Wang Lin began to ponder. He had searched the old man's memory and obtained this spell, but it wasn't complete. This spell was called Noble Spirit Spell. Not everyone could cultivate this spell, and it needed something called spirit seed. The mysterious people had left some spirit seeds in the bodies of the Moon Clan's people. They were like parasites that grew inside the members of the Moon Clan. The Moon Clan used this noble spirit spell to devour the ancient gods that died during the war. They used this to develop their clan into one of the ancient star system's great clans. While pondering, Wang Lin's expression became gloomy. The more he learned, the more he felt like it was strange. It was as if a layer of fog had covered the world. If he couldn't lift this fog, he wouldn't be able to see everything. His eyes lit up and he waved his right hand, putting away the giant ancient god finger into his storage space. After sorting his things, he looked at the earth and took a step. He left the planet and appeared in space. The stars were bright as Wang Lin floated in space and recalled the strange scene of the woman in white. However, there had been a speculation in his mind. After a long time, Wang Lin suppressed the speculation. He silently looked at the direction of Mount Blue. He seemed to vaguely see Li Qianmai and Tao Master Blue Dream. He revealed a complicated gaze before letting out a sigh. Then he turned into a ray of light and flew toward the edge of the Blue Silk Clan. Before he left the Blue Silk Clan, ripples appeared under Wang Lin's feet and he merged with the world, disappearing without a trace. The ripples spread out very far and gradually disappeared from the star domain. Wang Lin left. The moment he left, on Mount Blue, Tao Master Blue Dream was still playing the zither and didn't raise his head. Li Qianmai silently cultivated as if she hadn't noticed anything. Wang Lin used spatial bending to merge with the world, and after a few breaths of time, ripples appeared somewhere in the ancient star system. Distortion came from the ripple as if a figure was about to appear. There was a woman in white floating eerily in the void outside the ripples. It was unknown when the woman had appeared. It was as if she was outside the Blue Silk Clan just the breath before, and on the next breath she was here. She calmly looked at the ripples, waiting for the figure inside. However, just at this moment, the ripples suddenly changed and the figure that was about to come out seemed to take another step. In an instant, the ripples intensified and spread out until they got weaker and weaker, to the point where they disappeared. This was the second time the woman's eyes had revealed a strange light. She silently looked at where the ripples disappeared and then her body gradually turned to nothing. In another part of the ancient star system, the woman in white appeared. She was like a prophet. The moment she appeared, ripples echoed before her. However, just like before, the moment the ripples appeared, they violently trembled. However, this time she raised her right hand and waved. The ripples were silently chopped down the middle and then shattered. The moment they shattered, the origin energy within this aura surged like a storm and formed a giant vortex tens of thousands of feet wide. All the origin energy was sucked in, and all teleportation spells would be useless before this vortex. The moment the ripples shattered and the vortex appeared, Wang Lin's figure appeared from the void. His 5 essences were hidden in his eyes, allowing him to see the woman in white inside the vortex. Your Excellency prevented me from leaving several times. What is your intention? Wang Lin's voice was flat and calm. The woman didn't speak. She raised her right hand and pointed toward Wang Lin. With this point, the vortex in the void rotated even faster, reaching a limit, and flew toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin felt like he was in a quagmire and couldn't break free from the vortex. He waved his right hand and 2 deer phantoms appeared between his fingers. 10 million sword shadows suddenly broke free, creating a powerful force that swept the surrounding vortex. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the vortex paused for a moment under the impact of the sword shadows. Wang Lin quickly retreated and was about to leave the vortex. The woman in white looked calmly at Wang Lin, who was rapidly retreating, and pointed forward once more. With this, a giant phantom hand appeared behind Wang Lin. The hand looked like it was made of jade and mercilessly reached toward Wang Lin. The giant hand appeared too suddenly and was very fast. It grabbed Wang Lin almost the moment after it appeared, and it held on tight. At the same time, the woman closed in and crossed the vortex. In an instant, she arrived before Wang Lin. There was less than 5 feet between before the two of them. All of his happened in a flash, fast beyond belief. It was as if Wang Lin had no power to fight back against her. Wang Lin didn't struggle, allowing the hand to grab him. He stared at the blurry woman in white before him and said, "Who the hell are you?" The woman in white looked at Wang Lin and spoke for the first time. Blue concubine, Lu Lan. Her voice was very pleasant and carried with it a strange charm. One of the 8 ancient imperial concubines. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The woman in white nodded and then walked forward until she was standing less than 7 inches from Wang Lin. There seemed to be a faint fragrance coming from her body that entered Wang Lin's nose, but he didn't smell anything. "I originally didn't want to absorb your divinity, but since you can see me, I can no longer wait." The woman in white opened her mouth no less than 7 inches away from Wang Lin. They were almost face to face and she was no longer a blur, so her appearance clearly appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. The moment Wang Lin clearly saw her appearance, his pupils shrank. Thunder rumbled in his mind and he was dazed for a moment. The woman's face was Li Muwen's. The moment Wang Lin entered a daze and his mind was shaken, the woman's lip trembled. She exhaled and then gently inhaled. As she inhaled, the ancient god stars appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows and rotated rapidly. Faint, golden smoke came out of the stars. The woman's originally calm expression suddenly revealed excitement and greed. The golden smoke was about to be inhaled into her mouth. However, just at this moment, the daze in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and was replaced with clarity. World. A world appeared like the cold wind, and a flash came from Wang Lin's body. A black light spread out from his body. The wind and rain world that contained Wang Lin's Joss flames erupted. The woman in white was too close to Wang Lin. As the ghostly light flashed, the wind and rain world sudden expanded to 10,000 feet. The woman couldn't help but be pushed back by the wind and rain world. Her expression suddenly changed. At the same time, the golden smoke suddenly contracted the moment the wind and rain world expanded. None of it was inhaled by the woman, and it all returned back into his ancient god stars. There was a flash of monstrous bloodlight as the blood sword flew around Wang Lin. It pierced the jade hand holding Wang Lin. The hand collapsed and Wang Lin broke free. Everything that had just happened was part of Wang Lin's plan. He wanted to know the woman's identity and what her purpose was. Only after knowing all of this could he calmly confront her. More importantly, he had taken this risk to confirm a speculation he had about this woman from the moment he first saw her. Although the woman in white was pushed 10,000 feet away by Wind and Rain World, there was a flash of coldness in her eyes. She waved her right hand and a giant spatial crack appeared in the void. This giant spatial crack looked like it would devour everything in its path, and it charged at Wang Lin. She also stepped forward. Wang Lin sneered as the world around him shrank until it formed a protective barrier 100 feet around him. At the same time, he raised his right finger and coldly said, "If you had come with your original body, I'd be no match, but this mere avatar can't deceive my eyes." When Wang Lin spoke, the woman's expression changed greatly. She never would have thought that he would be able to see through the fact that she was only an avatar. The woman in white closed in as she said, "It must be Tao Master Blue Dream who told you." Heaven reversal stamp. Wang Lin's right hand immediately slammed down. The world in Wang Lin's pupils turned and the world outside quickly changed with it. Thunderous rumbles echoed and space itself flipped upside down. There was no sky or earth in space, but Wang Lin's mind contained its own world. At this moment, a shadow appeared. This shadow was like a cloud. It churned and rumbled as it spread. Then a portion of the cloud sank and became the earth. The rest of the cloud floated up and formed the sky. Sky and earth appeared. All of this happened in an instant. As the woman closed in with her spell, with a wave of Wang Lin's hand, the earth became the sky. The sky rotated and became the earth. Even the woman in white couldn't help but move with it. "You followed me the whole way and wanted to kill me, so you deserve to be killed." Wang Lin's right hand mercilessly pressed down. The earth that had become the sky came crashing down. As the earth descended, the world trembled and an unimaginable pressure appeared. The expression of the woman in white changed. Tao Master Blue Dream's Heaven reversal stamp. "He passed that spell to you." The woman stopped moving forward and her body was reversed. Then her hands formed a seal and she muttered something. White light came from her body to resist this spell. However, the Heaven reversal stamp was one of Tao Master Blue Dream's great spells. At this moment, the earth that became the sky smashed down. The spatial crack created by the woman in white immediately collapsed. The white light from her body also disintegrated. At this moment of danger, she opened her mouth and spat out a white jade. The moment the jade appeared, the world trembled and the jade floated before the woman, forming a white barrier. Thunderous rumbles spread across the stars. The earth and sky overlapped at this moment, creating an even more violent pressure. Space itself seemed like it was ready to collapse as large amounts of spatial cracks appeared. A moment later, everything disappeared. The world that had appeared disappeared the moment the sky and earth overlapped. However, the destructive aura created by it still lingered. The woman's face was pale and killing intent filled her eyes. The jade floating around her made it so she wouldn't be killed by the Heaven reversal stamp. "You send mere projection avatar with only third heaven's blight cultivation and dare to try to kill me. If not for you having a strange body that made it hard for me to detect you, I would have killed you a long time ago. Since the first time I noticed you, I have been wondering about something. If you were really a third step cultivator, how could you have allowed me to leave so easily? If you have a real body, how come I couldn't smell you even when you were that close? If you had a real body, why would you need a treasure to resist the Heaven reversal stamp?" Wang Lin smiled. His words were like knives that cut into the woman in white. This was the speculation in his mind. In order to confirm this speculation, he didn't escape and instead decided to fight with the woman in white. If this person really was a third step cultivator, then even if he used spatial bending, it would be difficult to escape. However, if she wasn't, then he, Wang Lin, also wasn't someone who could be easily provoked. "You're a mere projection avatar without a body. You wanted to absorb my divinity and even used an illusion to turn into my loved one. Just for that you must die. Wang Lin took a step forward and waved his hand after he spoke. The wind and rain world suddenly spread out to 10,000 feet. The battle souls on the fragments flew out and charged at the woman in white. The woman's expression was gloomy. She had to admit that she had underestimated Wang Lin's ability. She had only met Wang Lin by accident and thought she had a foolproof plan. However, she didn't think that he would notice her on their first meeting, nor that on the second meeting she would be at a disadvantage in battle. Unfortunately, my original body can't come, otherwise. There was a flash of coldness in her eyes. However, at this moment, she saw the battle souls inside the wind and rain world, and her expression changed once more. This is, while she was shocked, the countless souls rushed out and surrounded her. There was a milky white aura around them when they began their attack. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the woman in white quickly retreated. Her hands quickly formed a seal and she reached toward the void. Black light appeared in her grasp and flashed rapidly in her hand. Spirit destruction light. There was a flash of killing intent in her eyes and she waved her hand. Just as the black light shot toward the battle souls, the wind and rain world suddenly disappeared and turned into countless smaller worlds around each battle soul to resist the black light. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world. The battle souls were forced to retreat before the black light, but none of them were damaged. All the attacks were negated by the wind and rain world around them. The woman in white continued to retreat, and in the blink of an eye, she retreated thousands of feet. Wang Lin took a step forward and closed in on the woman in white. She had the jade protecting her, so she wasn't afraid of getting injured. She raised her right hand once more and even more black light gathered to form a black long sword. The moment this sword appeared, the world changed colors and a thunderous rumble echoed. She looked at Wang Lin and waved her right hand. The black long sword flew directly at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The moment the black long sword arrived, his hands formed a seal and he softly said, "Light and shadow shield." After he spoke, all the light in space began to gather. All light, including starlight and light invisible to the eye, gathered around Wang Lin like crazy. As the light gathered, a giant light shadow appeared. The black long sword closed in and immediately collided with the light shadow. A heaven-shaking rumble echoed and spread. The light shadow shined brightly when the black long sword collided with it. While a majority of the light shadow collapsed, the reflecting force caused the black long sword to turn around and shoot toward the woman in white. The moment the woman in white saw Wang Lin's light and shadow shield, her pupils shrank. She quickly retreated, but the black long sword was too fast and landed on the barrier around her body. Thunderous rumbles echoed and her face became even more pale. The jade protecting her became even more dim. However, it wasn't over. Right after reflecting the black long sword, Wang Lin charged out. He raised his right hand and monstrous bloodlight appeared. The blood sword appeared in his hand, and he mercilessly chopped down. "Die for me." As he roared, a monstrous bloodlight lit up space and created a monstrous killing intent toward the woman in white. Her expression changed once more as she anxiously formed seals and created countless layers of protection before her body. However, the bloodlight was too fast and directly pierced through the countless layers of protection before colliding with the jade. A thunderous roar shook the world, and space itself trembled. A cracking sound came from the jade and a crack appeared on it. The woman in white coughed out a mouthful of blood. She retreated and her body became blurry and disappeared. Seeing the woman coughing out blood, Wang Lin's pupils shrank and he was startled for a moment. His speculation was that she was only a projection avatar and was not corporeal. However, looking at it now, she had blood. However, he was battling and therefore didn't have time to think. Killing intent filled his eyes as he charged out with the blood sword. His 5 essences rotated in his eyes and he looked around. He once more found the woman in white. He mercilessly chopped down with the blood sword once more. "Original body, save me." The woman in white had a mournful expression as she quickly retreated. She began to chant and wave her hand. The jade with a crack shined brightly. A white, jade-like hand came out of the light and gently pointed at Wang Lin, who was closing in. The appearance of this hand caused the world to stop. Even light dimmed. Everything seemed to become pale before this hand. It was as if the entire world was replaced by this hand. And everything the hand was pointing at collapse. The moment the finger pressed down, Wang Lin suddenly felt a powerful sense of life and death crisis, far stronger than with Daoist water. Wang Lin suddenly stopped and he didn't hesitate to wave his hand. The thousands of wind and rain worlds instantly fused into one and surrounded his body. At this moment, Wang Lin used the light and shield once more. Large amounts of light gathered and formed a giant light shadow. Just at this moment, the index finger of the jade-like hand collided with the light shadow around Wang Lin. The light shadow trembled and made a noise that sounded like it couldn't withstand it. It began to collapse. As it collapsed, waves of reflecting force shot out and resisted the finger. However, the finger wasn't stopped at all and directly penetrated the light shadow. This caused the light and shadow shield to completely disintegrate. The moment it disintegrated, it landed on the wind and rain world around Wang Lin's body. The world trembled violently and the souls inside howled. Milky white aura came out of the souls to resist this finger. However, the finger was unimaginably powerful. After the light and shadow shield was destroyed, it seemed as if the wind and rain realm could disintegrate at any moment. The finger created a giant concave on the wind and rain world. As it pushed in further, the world trembled even more violently. The milky white aura resisted like crazy as it attempted to offset the force inside the finger. Wang Lin's body quickly retreated as he clearly felt that the wind and rain world couldn't resist much longer. At this moment of danger, his eyes revealed madness, and he waved his right hand to open his storage space. The moment his storage space appeared, the wind and rain world rapidly contracted until it was inside Wang Lin's body. Without anything hindering it, the finger pressed down between Wang Lin's eyebrows. However, the moment it closed in, Wang Lin roared and the giant ancient god finger bone came out of the storage space and blocked before Wang Lin. The jade-like index finger pressed directly on the ancient god finger. A thunderous rumble caused the star field itself to tremble. Wang Lin coughed out a large mouthful of blood and was pushed back with the ancient god finger bone. An invisible light penetrated the ancient god finger bone and went through Wang Lin's chest. It pierced out through Wang Lin's back along with blood mist. The finger suddenly trembled when it collided with the ancient god finger, as if it had just withstood a powerful impact. The finger became blurry and was about to dissipate. Intense pain washed over Wang Lin. If it was anyone else, they would definitely want to escape, but not Wang Lin. He ignored the pain and had a fierce expression as he raised his right hand. Blood light gathered into the blood sword and he mercilessly chopped down on the finger. The blood sword flashed and landed on the finger. The moment the blood sword closed in, the hand reached up to catch it. However, the blood sword directly penetrated through the hand. There was a faint, delicate groan and the hand was split in half and dissipated from the world as if it had never appeared. The jade before the woman in white shattered into dust. The woman in white was completely pale and coughed out blood. She quickly retreated and merged with the world to escape. You can't escape. Wang Lin's chest was a bloody mess and blood was flowing down. Although the finger was blocked by the light and shadow shield, wind and rain world, and the ancient god finger, a trace of it had still pierced through Wang Lin's chest. If it was an ordinary cultivator, if they weren't killed, they would be seriously injured. However, Wang Lin was an ancient god and therefore had a powerful healing factor. In just a moment, Wang Lin's wound showed signs of healing. As the woman in white fled, Wang Lin gathered all his treasure and gave chase. Searching for the ripples created when the woman in white escaped, Wang Lin merged with the world. He pursued her from the traces of the ripples. This was the complete opposite of what happened before. From being hunted to the one hunting. The woman in white was fleeing in panic, while Wang Lin was in hot pursuit. This woman's cultivation is strange. Although it looks like a projection avatar, it has flesh and blood. If this is true, then she really must die. If I don't take advantage of her being seriously injured to kill her, then there will definitely be trouble in the future. Also, she must have some secret on her. The spell she used just now was clearly summoning the power of her original body. If my spells hadn't become stronger while I was at the Blue Silk clan, I would have died. This woman is also more familiar with the ancient star system than me, so I must kill her as soon as possible. If she flees to some place I can't find, then all of this will be for nothing. Wang Lin continued to merge with the world as he chased and began hunting her. Ripples echoed among the stars in the ancient star system, and the woman in white staggered out. Her face revealed a rare sign of panic, and she was about to teleport away from this place. However, her expression changed. She clenched her teeth and chose to merge with the world to escape. After she left, ripples appeared and Wang Lin's figure flashed. He didn't choose to appear but disappeared once more. The two of them only continued for a short of time. In less than 15 minutes, they had crossed paths several times, and the time between was getting shorter. The woman was extremely anxious as Wang Lin pursued her closely, giving her great pressure. This was something that was impossible before, but now she was becoming more and more anxious. Just 3 more and then I'll be safe, just 3 more. The woman in white appeared in space, her face pale. Just as she appeared and ripples appeared under her feet for her to leave, thunderous rumbles echoed. Endless thunder came from all directions, forming a vortex and distorting the origin energy here, preventing her from leaving. While her expression changed greatly, Wang Lin stepped out of the void with a cold gaze. He didn't even speak as he waved his right hand. The clouds appeared once more to form the sky and earth. Heaven reversal stamp. As the world reversed, the sky and earth overlapped and a thunderous rumble echoed. The woman in white coughed out blood when the sky and earth overlapped. She quickly retreated, but there was a flash of bloodlight and the blood sword pierced through her back. She let out a miserable scream and her white clothes were dyed blood red. Large amounts of distortion appeared around her and countless images flashed by. Within images, there was a woman kneeling on the ground, and a jade-like hand reached out from the void. It pressed a white jade between her eyebrows. It only took a moment for those twisted images to collapse, and a rich, milky aura came from her head. This aura was almost solid and revealed a faint golden line. Wang Lin was no stranger to this milky white aura, it was Joss flame. However, this woman's Joss flame was extremely rich, which surprised Wang Lin. Just her Joss flame was enough to match 30% of the Joss flames in Wang Lin's wind and rain world. When the milky white aura filled her body, blood stopped flowing out of the wound created by the blood sword. Now that the bleeding had stopped, she anxiously retreated. While being surrounded by the milky white aura, she disregarded the distorted origin energy and merged with the world. If this woman can become a soul in my wind and rain world, Wang Lin's heart pounded. The moment the woman left, he also disappeared almost at the same time and began chasing once more. In the northwest domain of the ancient star system, there was a cultivation planet. This was where the demonic Scorpion clan was located. Although it wasn't a big clan, they were famous for their cruelty. Ripples echoed outside of a planet in the demonic Scorpion clan's star domain. The woman in white stepped out and blood flowed down the corner of her mouth. After she appeared, she didn't hesitate to merge with the world once more. Only 2 more. After doing this 2 more times, I'll arrive there, and there won't be any danger. However, just as she was about to merge with the world, a bloodlight flashed. It penetrated through the void and headed for her forehead. It was filled with killing intent and was too fast. The woman had no time to dodge or merge with the world. At this moment of crisis, the milky white aura spread out and blocked. It collided with the blood sword. The blood sword penetrated the milky white aura, but its trajectory was changed, so it pierced through her right shoulder. She let out a miserable scream and quickly retreated while staring ahead viciously. At this moment, Wang Lin stepped out from the void and his right hand reached toward the woman in white. "Where are you going to run to?" Seeing that she was about to be caught, she bit the top of her tongue out, coughed out blood toward the milky white aura. A shocking roar resounded and a powerful impact spread out. Due to this impact, the woman's body was thrown away and dodged Wang Lin's grip. She then charged toward the cultivation planet below. At the same time, the woman let out a mournful scream. "Where is the demonic Scorpion clan? I'm one of the blue concubine's avatars. Quickly, stop this person." The moment her voice spread out, cultivators immediately rushed out. In just an instant, almost 1,000 cultivators flew out of the cultivation planet. The moment these cultivators appeared, they didn't hesitate to charge toward Wang Lin. The woman in white took out some pills and devoured them. She looked at Wang Lin with a venomous gaze and was about to merge with the world to leave once more. How could Wang Lin let her escape? He waved his right hand and his body rapidly expanded into his 10,000-foot ancient god body. He charged forward and his fist swept past everyone as he threw a fierce punch. With one punch, the world rumbled and the entire starfield seemed like it was going to collapse. A giant spatial crack suddenly appeared and extended indefinitely as if the entire starfield was going to be split open. The woman in white that had merged with the world was forced out by this spatial crack as soon as it appeared. Her face was deathly pale and she quickly retreated. As Wang Lin charged forward, those 1,000 cultivators' spells and magic treasures arrived. Wang Lin didn't even look at them as he moved forward. Light gathered from all directions and formed a light shadow around him. All spells and treasures were reflected when they fell on the light shadow. Wang Lin was like a 10,000-foot light giant, and as he moved forward, the cultivators screamed as they were hit by their own reflected attacks. Some of them had their bodies destroyed by the impact from Wang Lin's charge. In a flash, Wang Lin closed in and threw a punch at the retreating woman in white. This video will end here.